What's up, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Um, Wanted to do a video tonight about a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, it's an incredible book. Highly recommend it. And I'm going to share some of the notes that I've taken from the book. The book was actually originally published in 1999 and then republished in like 2004. It's obviously 2018 now. It's got 6,300 reviews, like a 4.5 or so rating on Amazon. It's in the top 5 books in its genre. But anyway, incredible book. I've read the entire thing twice, completely front to back, both times taking more and more notes, and I now have about 20 pages worth of notes of things that stood out from the book. So I thought I'd share some of that in the hopes that you get something from the video, but more importantly that you go buy the book. And I've got a timer watching my time because I'll probably have to break this up into multiple videos. So the short of it is that the title again is called The Power of Now, and he basically believes that living in the present is the truest path to happiness. And so I thought I'd just kind of go through some of the points. As I said, one of the things that he talks about is he says that thinking has become a disease, especially in Western culture. We overthink things, and therefore we're constantly going through things in our mind, and we're not happy because of that. He says most of us are slaves of our minds, and that the beginning of freedom is knowing that we are not possessions of our minds. And he talks about to the mind that the present moment hardly exists, that we only live in the past and the future. And he talks about that our mind is always running, that we're worrying, we're regretting, judging, comparing. And he says that we see and judge the present through the distorted view of the past, and that our minds are usually our own worst enemy. He says that many people live with a tormentor in their head that continuously attacks and punishes them and drains them of vital energy, and that it's the cause of untold misery and unhappiness, as well as of disease. So probably if you're watching this video, you can somewhat relate to what he's talking about. And he said the good news is that you can free yourself from this disease, and that freeing yourself from your mind is the only true liberation. And he says one good way to do it is to start by listening to the voice in your head, and that when you listen to your voice, just listen to it with impartiality. Just listen to what it's saying, and once you realize that you're listening to what your mind's saying, and that sometimes what your mind is saying is not the truth, at that point you realize that your mind and your body are not the same, and then therefore your mind begins to lose some of its power. He says that when you stop a thought in your mind, something that's running constantly, you create a gap in it, and that they may be short at first, but you can eventually grow these gaps until they are much larger, and that could lead to peace. And he talks about that peace ends up creating a subtle joy, and that subtle joy is just the joy of being alive, of being present. He says another way to create this peace is to create a mind gap by directing the focus of your attention to the now or the present, and just becoming like intensely conscious of the present moment. He talks about how satisfying that is to do, that you'll become highly alert, you'll become aware, but your mind will slow down and you're not thinking constantly. He talks about that 80 to 90% of our thinking is repetitive and useless, and that even worse, it's harmful. And then he gets into this really interesting thought that I had never really thought about. But he said what most people call joy is nothing but short-lived pleasure, and it actually lives outside of you. And that the very thing that gives you pleasure today will give you pain tomorrow, or it will leave you so that its absence will give you pain. He talks about that at length, and I could give lots of examples, but the clock is ticking, and there's a lot I'd love to get through. But that true joy arises from within. He says if you don't want to create any pain in yourself or others, don't create time, or at least no more time as necessary for practical realities, that the present moment is all that you have, and that we should make the present our true focus in life. And he says that before these principles are told to you, maybe before you dwell to time and pay brief visits into the now, time being the past or present, you should instead try to live in the now and don't think too much about the present or too much about the future. Just pay brief visits into it. So if you have a trip coming up, don't be thinking about in 2 weeks I get to go somewhere. Just live in the moment and do only the necessary planning. I'm not explaining that very well, but he talks about it at length, and it's actually a pretty deep point. I'm trying to figure out a good place to cut off because I see I'm at over 5 minutes. Yeah, let's just end there. Next video, get into more deep stuff. Hopefully it'll be worth listening to, and hopefully these videos aren't a complete waste of time, because I'm trying to condense a lot of stuff into just a few points. But anyway, give me some feedback. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'll try to keep going as long as people want to see them. See you guys later.